Hi friends, it's Lindsay from the Checkered Pony. I know it's been a while since I checked in with you in person, like face to face. I've been keeping you guys up to date on my unboxing videos, but it's time for us to just sit down, well, for me to sit down and finally get back in touch with you guys and let you know what's been on my needles, off my needles, on my mind, out the window. Just, guys, there's been so much. And I have so many things to show you today. I hesitated even starting this podcast for today, which today would be episode 14. Welcome, episode 14. And oh man, just also thank you to all of you who have subscribed recently. I am so excited to see our number growing. I hope you'll continue to share and like my videos and just join me in this just super fun community of loving yarn and knitting and crafting and just everything. So everyone, you're all welcome to join anytime, and thank you for being a part of my community. But I almost hesitated making this video today because I am a little embarrassed. I have so many projects that I'm working on. Like, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I try to be so careful about starting too many projects because then I tend to get overwhelmed and then I don't work on anything. If I only have, one or two or maybe three, whips going on at any one time, I can manage those pretty well. But I'll tell you, today I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have actually 11. I have 11 projects, you guys, that I have started and that are, most of them are probably about halfway done. Actually, I would say pretty much all of them are at least halfway done, if not further. So that's the good news, but still 11 projects is really just too many to have going at any one time. And I have absolutely found myself becoming completely overwhelmed and wondering, what should I pick up? What should I finish? And so it's been a challenge, but I definitely have I have 8 that I'm going to show you today because the remaining 3 are blankets. Who in their right mind starts 3 blankets at once? Plus, you'll see the other extremely ambitious projects that I have going on. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I figured I should at least let you guys in on what I have as my whips, my works in progress, so you can see how far along I am on them, and I am determined, absolutely determined, to have all of these done by the end of the summer. All of them have to be finished. So that's my goal. I hope you guys say a prayer for me. Keep me accountable. Somebody just send me messages and say, Lindsay, you need to pick up your knitting and get something done. All right, so I wrote them all down. There's not like any order to how I have them on here, but I'm just gonna take you guys through it a little at one at a time. So you ready? I'm almost ready. I'm just gonna take 2 seconds because I've started talking really fast. Someone needs to be in here to like remind me to slow down too. Slow down, Lindsay. We're all good. Hot, 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 hot. So good, but hot. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to show you are my socks. I cannot remember if I showed you guys my socks last time. I've wanted to knit socks forever. There is another gal on YouTube that I just, her name is Barbara, and her YouTube, channel is called Knitting I Love, and I just love her. Oh my word, she's amazing. She's so amazing, and she knits the most gorgeous socks, and I'm just thinking, oh my gracious, I would love to do that. So I wanted to try some socks, and so asking people what I should do for my first pair, they're like, just find a plain vanilla sock. So this is the book that I have, Socks from the Toe Up, and then this is just the plain sock pattern that I have been following, And so I have this book that helps me with my pattern. I chose, excuse me guys, I'm so sorry. My yarn actually came from Knit Crate, and it was the Vitalana ambient sock, and the colorway was Robin's Promise. And so there's that. If any of you guys have been a part of Knit Crate, maybe you have this laying around. If you've just had it and you're wondering what could you do with it, here's an idea. Although I haven't gotten nearly as far as I would like to on these. So here are my socks. Now I will also say one thing that this pattern did not instruct me on was knitting socks 2 at a time. It does instruct you to knit how to knit them toe up, but I have another book that is how to knit socks 2 at a time, and so I was like, I'm gonna do it all. Why not? I'm gonna do this 2 at a time and from the toe up. So it's nice because they pretty much are completely matching pair. I don't have to be so careful about counting my rows to make sure that both socks end up the same, because I'm using magic loop method to knit them both at the same time. So that's as far as I've gotten, and the fit on me, this comes up almost to my heel, and so I've kind of been procrastinating on these because the heel gusset intimidates me. I tried to knit another pair of socks last year, and it's like everything was going great. They were gorgeous until I got to the heel gusset, and it all just fell apart, and I just ripped those things out with a nasty vengeance. I was so mad. So I'm like, oh, I just don't want to go through that again. And so I'm hoping that I've gotten enough experience under my belt. I've learned enough that the heel gusset will not be nearly as intimidating this time. But knitting 2 at a time, basically you break your yarn in half. And so if you have, this one is like slightly variegated. It's enough of, you know, the color tones are close enough that it just really kind of makes a little bit of a marled. I mean, there's maybe a tiny bit of like a little bit of a pattern you can see in the two, but they really, you know, match pretty closely. I've made a few mistakes that I don't know if I can explain it. There were some increases as I was forming the toe, and I added too many increases, and so when I got up to here, you can actually see it, I was off on my stitch count, so I decreased. So it kind of brought my socks in a little bit, but it actually worked out really well because this is also the ball of my foot. So it really just kind of allowed for a little bit of extra room for, you know, where my foot naturally has that little bit of a bump for the, you know, the toe joint and the ball of your foot. So it actually worked out okay. I'll just know not to do that next time. But for my first pair, these will be so special and absolutely mine to keep. And hopefully I'll just have learned a lot of lessons from how to do that. So there is my first work in progress. The other thing that has kept me from working on these, I was kind of disappointed because these are wooden Likey needles. I adore Likey needles. And they have the metal tips because they are they're size 1s, so they're itty bitty. They're like toothpicks. And so when you have wooden needles this tiny, you have to have the metal tip or they're just going to snap. You're just going to break them. But as I was knitting, the metal tip actually came off the needle. And I had to and I was in the middle of knitting, like in the middle of a round at the park. And there was nothing I could do other than like try to muddle through it. And so I was actually knitting with one of these needles without a metal tip. It was a nightmare. It was getting snagged. It was just horrible. That kind of took, you know, some of my excitement over my knitting away because I was really sad. But I got home and I have super glued the metal tip back onto my needle. I truly, truly hope it does not happen anymore. Maybe I just got, you know, a sad pair of needles. I hope that, you know, if you guys have used these needles before, I'm curious if you've ever had that issue of the metal tips coming off. Or maybe, you know, comment below of what type of needles you like to use for socks, specifically a size 1 needle. Just because, you know, if I invest in any of these needles anymore, I'd really like to know, are they going to fall apart? Or is there something better? So I would love your suggestions of what size or what brand needle you like to use for socks, because I'm in the market. All right, so there's whip number 1, socks. Oh man, I really hope I have some progress to show you guys next time I get on here. Oh y'all, I'm dropping wool into my coffee. That's fun. That's when you really know you're in it. Even when you'll drink your coffee, wool fiber and all. Okay, that's fine. Okay, sorry y'all. It's really, really hot in my house. Finally, okay, we had like 116 degrees last weekend, and during the day it gets so warm out here, and I'm having a hard time adjusting. Okay, so the next whip I have are actually 2 whips, but I'm going to show them to you because they are so very, very similar. And I'll just show you what I have. Okay, so the first one, last year I had a sweater that I knit in, oh golly, I think it was Madeline Tosh Farm Twist was the yarn, and I made the sweater, but it just didn't feel right when I put it on. It's like it had too much weight. I just didn't use the right kind of yarn. And so I ripped the sweater all to pieces. I had like 3 hanks of yarn, of that Madeline Tosh yarn. And so I was like, okay, I need to use it for something. And so I was like, oh, we'll make some fingerless mitts and a hat set. You know, that's at least an accessory that's not going to be weighed down by the yarn. And so I made one. This is also why I knit the socks 2 at a time. I am totally that kind of a person where I will knit one of something and then never never knit the matching friend that goes with it. Ask my toddler who went through winter with one mitten that I knit for him, and all winter long he's like, Mom, you really should make me the other glove. And I was like, I'm sorry. I just don't feel like it. It's horrible, you guys. So here's one mitt, and I have not even finished this one because I have not finished the thumb. But here's that yarn, and you know what, guys, I love the colors in this yarn. If you can see it, like, it has so much character and personality. I don't love the pooling. I don't love the pooling, the color pooling. And so I'm really struggling. Like, oh my goodness, am I gonna tear something else all apart after I've knit it? The mitt itself the fingerless mitt feels really nice. It's a little bit, I don't know if you can see, it has a little bit of bagginess around the wrist, but I have tiny little wrists. But I like everything else about it other than the color pooling. And I think that is what has kept me from, first of all, finishing this mitt, but also from even starting the second one. But it's a very, very basic pattern. I'm sorry I didn't pull my patterns out to tell you even what this one was called. Actually, I didn't pull out most of my patterns. I'm very sorry. So I will try to include those in the description below. If you really want to look up this mitt pattern, it was super easy. Just make sure you have a yarn that you just know is going to maybe not pool how you don't like it. Like, this side is fine with me. I don't really care for this. Although this pattern is it's totally versatile. Like, you can absolutely reverse it. So I could actually have it this way, but still, I just don't know. I don't know what to do with this because I don't care for the pooling. So this one could be on the chopping block. We'll just have to see. The second mitt that I do have that yarn here. And this was some yarn I got from Knit Crate, but it was from the Yarnbrary. Super cute. And it's the Fantasy Worsted Base in the colorway. I can't talk, you guys. The colorway was called Copperfield. But this is 40% merino, 30% baby alpaca, and 30% mulberry silk. So it's super soft, you guys. I love this. And I'll put this one on. I have made 2 other pairs of fingerless mitts with this pattern because I absolutely love these cables. And I think this one is called Vancouver Fog. Again, I'll include the description or the pattern in the description below, but I love these cables. And this one, it was still a variegated yarn, but the color pooling was not, it just, it worked a lot better. It just was more spread out. There's a little bit of, you know, you can see the pattern of the yarn a little bit on the other side, but this one I'm absolutely going to make a second mitt. I just need to finish the thumb on this one. I'm planning on these being a gift for someone precious to me, but I really, really love this pattern, and this yarn feels amazing as a mitt. It's so soft. So I'm really definitely going to finish this project, hopefully soon. All right, now the next project I have to show you is, hold on, time out. Oh, these are falling too far away. This is a project that I started when my family was on vacation, just last month actually, and we got to go to the Oregon coast and stay in just a creekside cabin for 2 weeks. It was amazing. My entire family from Nashville came out. We had 16 people in this house. 16? 13. Evidently we're missing a few. We had 13 people staying in this house together, and it was just incredible. And I got some knitting time in. My mom and sisters and I turned into like puzzle people. We did like 3 puzzles. I mean, it was awesome. We had so much fun. But one of the projects that I started out there is called the Costal Crop, and I should have pulled out a picture to show you. All right, so this is the one that I started. You can find this one on Ravelry. Coastal Crop, Raglan, Coastal Crop. So I had purchased for myself some cotton yarn, and I was actually delighted because I found this yarn at Michael's. I have kind of gotten away from getting buying my yarns from big box stores like Joann's and Michael's and Craft Warehouse and that kind of thing, unless it's something just really like for something specific that I need acrylic yarn for, or that, you know, I just don't know. But I will say, I was just recently in Joann's and now looking at Michael's, and they are starting to carry more blends of cotton that are softer, and some more like wool options. I haven't really seen, and maybe you have, I just haven't, like any blends of alpaca, or, you know, any of those other animal fibers, but at least I'm seeing more wool and cotton. And so this is specifically one that I found at Michael's, and it was called Creme Cotton. And it actually was, where is it, 87% cotton and 13% nylon. So it has the cotton lightness, but the durability and the strength of the nylon in there just to really hold it together. But guys, this is super soft. Like a lot of the cottons that I've found at Joann's and Michael's, it's been like the dishcloth cottons. You know, it's abrasive. It doesn't have any give. This doesn't really have a ton of give, but the way that the strands are, I don't know if you can see it, it's too close, are woven, it's almost like a chain structure, so that it has a little bit more, can you see? A tiny bit more of a give. For cotton, that's awesome. If you've knit with cotton, it just doesn't go anywhere. Man, it does not stretch. And so this has a little bit of give, and so, it's like a cloud. It's super soft. And so for my birthday, I bought myself, was it my birthday? No, it was Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to me. I bought myself some balls of this to knit myself. Specifically, I wanted a summer sweater. And so I had this pattern for the coastal crop, and so this is the progress that I've made. I've not gotten super far, and I know it's confusing. There's like so many strands. Let me tuck them in so you can see the pattern a little bit better. Here we go. All right, so the top has this really pretty, it has a contrast color knit into the top, and then the raglan comes down. There's a little tiny bit, guys, of like an eyelet pattern. And then I just last week broke for the sleeves. And so the sleeves will continue down. I'm gonna continue knitting the body. It is written as a crop top. I'm just not a crop top kind of girl. Plus, I bought extra yarn so I don't have to be. I can knit this thing as long as I want to make it. So, you know, there's progress on that. I'm pretty excited with this one. So yeah, coastal crop, it's super soft. The way that this is knitting together, it feels really, really nice. I'm excited to wear this. It will be a long sleeve. Did I say that? This will be a long sleeve sweater. So while I had intended it for summer, it will still carry me through the fall. Cotton is still warm. I mean, and it's going to be a long sleeve, so I'm not worried. It's going to be great. So, coastal crop. Okay. Whew. Look, we're about halfway through. You guys still doing okay? I really do want to hear about your needles and everything else for like knitting socks. I'm serious. I need you guys to tell me, because I can't have that happen again. Okay, next one. So you can see a few of my projects were a little bit ambitious. Oh, there's one I skipped. I skipped one. Now this one, again, I cannot remember if I have shown it to you guys in the past. I'm sorry, please forgive. I don't think that I have. I don't think that I have. Maybe I did. If I've talked about this year's Rose City Yarn Crawl, did I do that? Did I show you guys all my yarn I got from that? I'm sure I did. I had to have. I was so excited. Well, this year for the Rose City Yarn Crawl, it was all virtual. People were really discouraged, you know, as far as driving to all of the shops. There were only 8 shops this year versus 10. And even looking back into the history of the Rose City Yarn Crawl, you know, there had been like 12 shops or 15 or something. And so it's kind of scaring me a little bit, because every couple of years it seems as though they lose a few. This year I'm glad that they actually gained a few extras, a few new stores, which was really fun to be able to at least go to those stores' websites, which is really all it was. Like, I got to shop on some websites. It is what you make it. But this year for the yarn crawl, guys, I'm so sorry. For the yarn crawl, normally we all would have knit up or crocheted up our item to wear for the mystery knit along or the mystery crochet along. And this year, you know, I got started, I had my yarns, I was gung-ho about it, but somewhere along the road, like, I just completely lost steam. I lost interest. And, you know, I don't know if it was just the pattern. You know, everyone who finished it, their projects were gorgeous. And I was like, man, those are beautiful. It looks great. But I was not thrilled with mine. And it could be my color choices. Although, you know, I kind of asked the community, hey, what colors should I use? And I totally, you know, I went with the majority. And honestly, I had chosen specifically these 2 colors to make a project. So I really can only blame myself. But as I knit, it just wasn't, this project has not spoken to me. It has not come easily to me. That could be a big part of it. You know, why I'm just like, I've walked away from it and I've not picked it up for like, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months. It's just been sitting on my needles, half completed. But I will show you what I have because I'm at a critical point where I have 11 works in progress. And do I really want to keep this one on my needles, or do I want to rip it apart and just start something new? My hesitation for ripping it apart is because I've had to break my yarn so many times in this project. How do you feel about breaking your yarn? It tears my heart out because in the back of my mind I'm thinking, oh my word, if I have to rip this thing apart, I'm gonna have like, my yarn's gonna be in 5 different pieces. It's not gonna be a full hank of yarn anymore. And that makes me crazy because then if I want to use it again for something big, I have to make a knot, and I don't like knots in my work. Plus there's just been, I don't know, like picking up a lot of stitches and making a lot of different things. But to its credit, there have also been a lot of techniques that I've not really been very familiar with in the past that I've enjoyed learning and have yet to learn. So I will show you what I have. Hopefully this does not come flying off my needles because I've kind of been careless with it. All right, so here's what I have so far. And like I said, I've had to break my yarn so many times. There's strands everywhere and it makes me crazy. But it is a, doesn't it look like fun? It is a crescent shaped shawl, which also not usually my favorite, you know, but I was willing to do it because I was in the community and everybody else was doing it. But yeah. But I mean, you can see there's cool things. There's hearts, there's lace pattern, there's this really cool element to it where it kind of has a staggered, like a stair step almost construction to it where you pick up the stitches and knit the next section. So I'm in the middle of this section currently with the hearts. Then I would go on to, there's a brioche section, which I've never knit brioche before. And so I'm a little bit intimidated by that. And yeah, so I just don't know. Maybe if I plucked up enough courage, I could pick this thing back up and start it again, but I don't think about it. You know, in the past when I've been working on projects, like they are on my mind all the time and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get back to that. I can't wait. This one, I'm like, oh, I would rather like go do the dishes. I'd rather mop the floors than pick that up and try to figure out what was going on. So we'll see. I don't know. You guys might see some progress on that, but you probably won't. At least until I have finished everything else. And like another problem with having so many works in progress is I don't have enough project bags. So yeah, this just sits in a basket. That's awesome. Okay, so Rose City Yarn Crawl, Mystery Knit Along, love it. So fun. I look forward to it every year. But this year it was like a gut punch that it wasn't even in person. It was all digital. And I'm not even going to go into it. All digital. And then I wasn't like super excited about the knit along. Plus I didn't really have that incentive and motivation to have it done. I've got to have it done because I want to wear it for the yarn crawl. We didn't even have that, so nobody cared. So I guess I need that accountability. I need that deadline that, oh man, this has got to be done for me to really feel like, oh, I should do that. I didn't do it. All right, so while we're on the topic of the Rose City Yarn Crawl, one of the things that I picked up from my favorite shop was a kit, basically, for, oh, I pulled out the wrong one. Let me get the picture. Okay. All right, so simple summer sweater. Wow, you really can't see that. Super simple summer sweater by Hoki Locatelli. And it's super cute. It's just a simple striped sweater. And the yarn that she actually knit hers out of and that she recommended was sold at my yarn shop. And so I ordered a kit. And I remember now, yes, I did show you guys all of my yarns. And so I have been knitting away on this, and this is actually the project that one of the projects that I also took on vacation, and I finished the main body of it while I was on vacation. And then I actually started another project on vacation that I finished, and then started my third project, which is the Costal crop, which, you know, I made it through some of it on vacation. So you can see I had lots and lots of time to knit while I was on vacay. But here is my progress. Make sure I get the right direction for you. It's a little bit of a mess. Again, I don't want this to come off the needles. Here we go. And so here's my progress for, stand up, show it to you. I followed the pattern as she called for it. I did add in just a tiny bit more at the bottom because I don't do crop tops, you guys. They are not my jam, but I finished, you can see it's a split hem at the bottom. Just need to weave in all my ends. And then I divided for the sleeves, and I've started on the first sleeve. It is also a long sleeve sweater. I'm really excited to get this one done. I can tell you a few things. It has been very simple to knit. I have really enjoyed, especially the stripes have kind of it's just kind of broken it up to where I can like, oh, moving on almost to another stripe. Let's keep going. That part has been fun. The part that I've kind of been disappointed in is actually the yarn. When I'm making a garment, and I guess it doesn't feel awful, when I'm making a garment, I want it to feel good to wear. And this yarn it's kind of rough. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can. It's cotton yarn. It is called Mungo yarn. And let's see, so it's 50% wool and 50% cotton, which I was like, oh man, that is going to be the perfect combination for a summer sweater that will transition into fall. And I still do feel that way. But I don't know what is in this yarn. I mean, what is this? Is it hay? Is it like a cotton casing? I don't know, but as I'm knitting, it drives me crazy because they are sharp sometimes. They're scratchy. And as I'm knitting, I have to stop my knitting just to pick out these pieces out of my strand, and it is extremely time consuming, and I can tell you, I can see them in my knitted project. I'm hoping, really, really hoping that, you know, once I wash this thing and soak it, I mean, I'm not like gonna agitate it, wash it, I don't want it to felt at all, but I'm hoping it softens up, because right now it's not fun to wear. That really defeats the purpose. It defeats the entire point of making a sweater. I actually want to wear this. Like, I was shocked a couple of months ago. I was on a Zoom call with some knitting friends, and they were saying how they love to knit, but they hate to wear the things that they make. And I was like, I couldn't believe that. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm putting in all this work. I'm gonna wear the living daylights out of my stuff. People are going to be sick of me wearing the same things because I am absolutely gonna wear the things that I make. So, you know, the fact that this one is really scratchy, it just kind of, it makes me a little bit sad. The other thing that is kind of frustrating about it. And we'll see, I've got a yarn ball tucked up in here, so forgive me, it's kind of bumpy. I don't know how well you can see it. This is the back, but can you see my line? This is on the inside, and it's where I was carrying the color, the different color that I wasn't knitting with, all the way down, and it just laddered. Not laddered, it didn't come unwoven. It just made these, like, I struggled with the tension of how can I work this? So I'm just really hoping, again, that as I wash this or block it, you know, maybe I can cinch it one way or another and just really cover up that seam almost of where the round began. And I would wrap the yarn strand that I wasn't using around my working yarn just to carry it down the piece, because that makes me crazy. I actually had a few holes too that I've tried to fill in that just, oh, that's so special. So, you know, it's just another example of, wow, that's mine. You know, but really in the grand scheme of all things in my knitting world, I've been knitting for 3 years, and I'm still a baby. Like, when I get to talk with women who, or fellas, anyone who has been knitting, like, and they've been knitting since they were 5 or 7, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome, you know, but I've been knitting for 3 years, and I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm hanging in there. So, oh, I forgot to put away my pattern. Let's do this in here. So this one I am absolutely motivated to finish, really just because I can't wait to soften it, to see if it actually softens out. I don't see how those little fibers are going to come, you know, just come out of the yarn though. Like, it's so scratchy. It makes me sad. But the pattern itself is very simple. So if you like this pattern, it's so cute, you guys. I'll include the link to Ravelry for the Super Simple Summer Sweater by Joji Locatelli. And just get some different yarn. Like, maybe even some nice soft cotton would be awesome. All right, so there's that one. And see, now I've got like fibers all over the place. All right. Yes, okay. So the next one that I have, we've got 2 more that I'm gonna show you today. I have shown you in the past, I mostly completed, a Hipster Shawl, also by Joji Locatelli. Here it is. I did mine in, oh golly, it was some kind of a silk. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed knitting that, and so I decided I wanted to make another one, also with the intention of it being a gift for someone very, very dear to me. I have been using, also from Knit Crate, the Audine Wools Twinkle DK. The colorway that I have is called Roller Skates, but it is 80% wool and 10% cashmere, 10% stellina. So it has some shimmer, softness, and so that is the yarn that I've been using. But as far as the yardage, I knew I was gonna have to get another hank of yarn. So I have had 3 hanks of yarn to make this shawl. I have just recently added in the 3rd one, so I am just about finished with this beauty. I'm only like maybe 2 or 3, I do not want this to come off the needles, 2 or 3 rows away from being completely done. I'll show you the whole thing. It's kind of wrapped up in itself right now, but you can see, oh my word, you know, the crisscross sections, the chevron section. Here's the thing though that I'm kind of toying with. According to the pattern, I'm only like I said, 2 or 3 rows away from being done with it and binding off. but I still have this much yarn. And if you guys have watched any of my videos in the past, I don't like leaving yarn unused because then it just takes up space in my basket up there. And that basket's full of all my scrap yarns. So I'm seriously considering just carrying on and adding in another chevron section over top of this crisscross section and then binding off. That's kind of, I'm about 95% sure I'm gonna do that because I know I'll have enough to do that part at least. In her pattern, she has tassels. I would like to do the tassels. My one hesitation is that because this yarn has stellina in it, cutting the yarn that short, that stellina is gonna stick out like if I was to put my finger into an electric socket. I mean, it just is gonna, and so I just don't want it to look, you know, I want it to look nice. So I'm still toying with the idea of whether or not, or the question of whether or not I'm going to add tassels to the bottom of this, but it is almost complete. And then I will be very, very happy that at least one thing is done. This, honestly, I should just barrel through and finish this thing because this is the closest to completion item I have. And even just, it's kind of like paying off debt. It snowballs, you know, every item that I finish just gives me that much more energy and focus to finish another object. So there is my progress on that hipster shawl. Should be wrapping that up hopefully in the next couple of weeks. All right, whew, almost done. You can see I was so ambitious, like it's just crazy. All right. Oh my word, you guys, I wrote all of these projects down to show you, and now I'm realizing all of my patterns are by Hohi Locatelli. Clearly, you can see I really, really love her. Okay, so my last whip that I'm going to show you today is the Like a Cloud cardigan. I have been using Shalimar yarns, and the colorway was Love and Happiness. The wool base is called Airy. It's 70% merino, 20% kid mohair, and 10% silk. And this pattern is called Like a Cloud. Guys, this yarn feels like a cloud. So I will show you my progress on this. I actually started this cardigan like maybe 2 years ago and was so new to knitting. I had knit a fair amount of it, but then when I went back to continue it, I mistook what row I was on. And this is one of those delicate patterns where if you get a single row off, you're ultimately starting to knit inside out because it's then the reverse side that's showing on the outside. So you have to be very careful as you're knitting, or at least be able to read your stitches enough to be able to tell what row you're on, basically. And I have pretty much gotten to that point, which I think has saved me a few times with this particular pattern. But I have gotten, you know, a fairly good amount of the way through. One of my big concerns with this pattern, I absolutely love the pattern. Oh my word, it's so soft. But this yarn it's hand dyed, and I did not want to have to be switching out hanks every couple of rows. I just wanted to be able to knit this thing straight through. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm knitting through, finishing off a hank of yarn and adding in a new one, regardless of the color intensity. They're all the same colorway, but different, you know, it's those hand paints. There's not a dye lot. It's just, you know, it is what it is. And so you can see the first hank that I used was a lot lighter. It had a lot more of the gray and the light blue, where this second hank is a lot deeper, has a lot deeper of the blues. I'm kind of hoping that as I continue this, because I've still got another at least, I mean, gosh, I don't want this to just develop my hip. I want it to go down to, you know, even my mid-thigh. So I'm thinking I'm going to have this, you know, at least adding in another hank of yarn to the bottom of this. I'm kind of hoping it's maybe going to have an ombre effect. Maybe it'll look like I did it on purpose. But I also still need to add in the sleeves. I have broken for the sleeves, but I will be adding those in as well, make them nice and long. But oh my word, this is one of those things that, I'm so excited to get done. I love this style of like the drop shoulder. I'll show you the pattern. Real nice long drop for the shoulder. It's going to be super, super comfy. And so I'm very excited to finish this one and to continue working on it. But this is probably, out of all of my projects, that's probably the last one that I will work on, just because it's kind of my favorite and I don't want to mess it up. Like, that's the one that I really want to do right. I want that one to be my thing, that yes, I did it and it looks awesome and it's fabulous. So there is the Like a Cloud cardigan. And again, guys, I'll put all of the links as I remember them in the description below. So you can go check them out on Ravelry and yeah, see what you like. All right, now, guys, we made it through all of my whips that I have to show you today. 8 out of 11, because I'm not going to show you all of my blankets. Wait, what? Yeah, 3 blankets. Not even going to go there today. And now I can show you my finished objects. Are you ready for this? Oh man, I have one. And it's the one that I told you I actually completed on vacation. It is also a kit that I got from the Rose City Yarn Crawl. I'm so proud of myself in that sense that I have actually ordered these kits and then completed them, or I'm working on them and almost completed them. I've been so bad in the past of like just buying yarn. Buy the yarn, it's so pretty, I want it. What do I want it for? I don't know, but it's pretty, I want it. I can't keep doing that. I need to have a purpose and plans and intentions for the things that I invest in. So this was the Woolstock cowl, and it called for the Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock, and it's 100% fined Highland wool. Now, Highland wool, in my experience, has been extremely abrasive in the past. I don't mind when wool is a little bit more rustic, depending on what I'm making. Especially if it smells sheepy, I love that. I mean, man, I should just live in a barn. I love the smell of animals. Call me crazy. So this doesn't bother me. If you guys, are a little bit more sensitive to the itch factor, you may want to try to use something a little bit more, a little softer. But even this, though, it feels so nice. I've worn this several times since I've made it. Actually, specifically for my daughter's softball season, the first 2/3 of the season we were freezing, and like the sun would come out, we'd sweat. The sun would go away, it would start raining, we would be freezing, and this was I was taking it with me, just packing it in my bag, and as soon as I got cold, I popped this thing on, and it has been awesome. I have loved wearing this thing. And so this is the Woolstock cowl. It has a couple of different stitch changes in there. This one in particular, this middle section, was only called for maybe about a few repeats, but no yarn left behind. I knew I was going to have leftover yarn, just judging by this was going to be my halfway point, and I was like, I hadn't even finished off one of my hanks. I had 2 hanks, and so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to continue to knit until I run out of yarn, and then I will mirror the other side. And that's exactly what I did, and I ended up just having a little bit of yarn left over. It just made me happy, and so I just made that middle section a little bit wider, and I think it actually turned out really nice. And so you can see the construction. I mean, there's just basic stitches in here, And then this middle section was a little bit more challenging. I needed to pay attention a little bit more, but it was perfect for our vacation time, just with family and stuff. I could watch movies and hang out with everyone and just finish up a project. So I did knit this entirely on our vacation. So this is absolutely a souvenir that I have now as a memory of my time with my family, and it was awesome. As far as acquisitions, I really don't have a lot other than my knit crate. I showed you guys everything I got from the Rose City Yarn Crawl, but when we were on vacation, of course, if there are any yarn shops anywhere close to where we are, I can just smell them. And so we ended up finding a new one not far from where we were staying, and so I picked up a few things just as I get just a couple little souvenirs. I picked up some stitch markers that are real pretty. They're just like they're like a silvery purple, but I liked them because this one in particular was different. So this will show like my beginning of the round, and then just a couple of repeats. Those are from Miller's Glassworks stitch markers. Super cute. Love those. Like buying myself jewelry. And then while we were in this particular yarn shop, she was real good about having some patterns set out with some displays. This was a free pattern that she had in her shop just to take, but it's called the Hipster Shawl. And I took it, ooh, I can't see. I'm not certain that I'm going to make this, but it was made with the yarn that I purchased as the display, and it was so pretty in the shop, and so I was like, ooh. So my yarn does not look like this, but the display she had in her shop was this pattern in this yarn that I purchased, and it was very pretty. So I probably, I don't know, who am I kidding? I probably will make that pattern in this because it's what I got on vacation and it's my other souvenir. But here is my yarn. Oh, where did I put my thing? It is called the KFI Collection, and it's the Indulgent Fingering. It's 75% wool, 25% polyamide. So it's just really, it's sock yarn. It's a nice sock yarn, but it's very soft, and it is hand painted, and it's beautiful. I love the colors. She put this really cute little tie around. I'll put that back in a minute. You can see the colors. It's very creamy, but it's got some purple and green and yellow and pink, and it's very, very pretty. It's a nice, soft neutral color, I feel. So yeah, there's that. And then while we were traveling to other coastal towns and just exploring, we stopped into my definitely my second favorite yarn shop in the world. And it's actually called Coastal Yarns. It's in Cannon Beach, Oregon. If you ever get a chance to go there, you have to go to Coastal Yarns, okay guys? And you have to go to Bruce's Candy Kitchen. And my yarn is by Blue Moon Fibers. It is called Cloud 9 Base, and the colorway is Bruce's Candy Kitchen. All right, so this is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. So it's a gorgeous fingering weight yarn. So soft. So soft. I also picked up, I should show you everything else I got too. It's in here with my sweater. But while I was in that shop, guys, I had been saving for this vacation, okay? And so I had some money, some mad money that I was like, man, I'm gonna have all kinds of souvenirs by the end of this. And so when we were in there, I actually bought myself a project bag. It's very, very sturdy canvas. Actually, I wonder if this is the waxed canvas. I'm not even sure. It could be. It's super sturdy. I love this, but it actually, it's by Queen Bee, and it's handcrafted in Portland, Oregon. So it's like, oh, I went all the way to the coast to buy something from Portland, which is just over the river from where we live. But it's totally fine. But this is actually a bag that was made by Blue Moon Fiber Company. So I bought, and I got it from the same shop. I bought my Blue Moon Fiber yarn, I got my Blue Moon Fiber bag, and while I was in there, how many of you love Coco Knits? Like all of their stuff? Me! I love all of their things, and so I picked up a few things of theirs that I've always wanted to try. First I picked up their colored split ring markers, and oh my goodness, I love these. They're heavy, but they're not heavy. Like they feel heavy, and because they're metal, but they're gorgeous. Look at all the colors. They're so pretty. And I have been using these on pretty much every single project that I've cast on recently. I also got the little shears. These are okay. They're super cute. You have to hold them just right to actually get them to cut your yarn. I will say that. This is, guys, this is my podcast. This is my absolute honest opinion and critique of my items. They're super cute. They're really cool, but like I have to really like pinch them together for them to really like cut. It's just how it is. And then I got the neutral stitch stoppers, and it's a collection of all of these different foam needle stoppers to keep your work from coming off your needles. The only problem is they keep popping off my needles. So out of all of my purchases, this is probably the one that I would not get again. I'm sorry. I love Coco Knits, but this didn't work really great for me. My other items, love them. This one, meh. I have other things that have really worked better. So, but these were my goodies from my trip, my vacation. Loved it, had so much fun, and got to just spend some great family time, and it was amazing. So man, you guys, that's it. Look, not even an hour, and we've made it. If you're still here, wow, you are a superhero, and I just thank you. Thank you for sticking with me, getting through all this stuff. I cannot wait to be able to show you some progress. I have to finish some of these things. It's so hard to focus. Honestly, just picking each of them up, I could just sit here and start on them. Every single one of them, I'm like, oh, I could just work on this. But when I put them all down and then I look at them all like laying on right here next to me, it's too much. I cannot decide what to pick up to work on. It's really hard. So I'll just work on one thing at a time. Just try to make it through. All right, you guys, that's really all I have for you today. But I hope that every single one of you are just doing fantastic. You mean the world to me. And the fact that you are taking the time and you have chosen to be here with me today, guys, that means so much to me. Thank you. Please leave some comments below. Let me know what you're working on, or if there were any of my yarns that I showed you today that you're like, oh man, Lindsay, you should try this pattern or that pattern. I love recommendations. I want to hear what kind of needles you use for socks. I want to know all kinds of stuff. Just let me know. Let me know what you're doing. What's going on? All right, you guys? Well, I hope you take care. I hope you have a great week. Enjoy the 4th of July. Stay safe. And I will just really, really look forward to seeing you guys next time. All right? Bye, guys.